On today's show, I'm going to explore if the Bears could trade for this star player, but first, we must get to 95,000 subscribers before the Hall of Fame game on Thursday night. We're 86 subs away. If we don't get there, we can't go live an hour early. We'll have to go live 30 minutes early. So help us out. Hit that sub button. We're 86 away. Bears Hall of Fame game, first watch party of the year on Thursday. Let's dive into today's show. I'm Harrison Graham. Could Tristan Wirfs be a trade target for the Chicago Bears? We're going to discuss here on Bears Now. Wirfs is kind of holding in right now. It's not a full hold in. He's doing some non-contact work, but he's not doing team drills or anything like that because he wants a new contract from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And a couple of reports coming down in the last couple of days about where things sit. Jordan Schultz first had this note that Wirfs and the Bucs remain, quote, very far apart on a long-term contract extension. Schultz also added one source described the extension talks as, quote, miles apart. The 25-year-old Wirfs is in the final year of his contract. Ari Meirov added this today or on Monday as well, saying three-time Pro Bowler Tristan Wirfs is not participating in any team drills as he awaits a potential record contract extension. Todd Bowles said he appreciates Wirfs being in the building and not holding out, and they're hopeful something gets done. And look, it's pretty clear what Tristan Wirfs wants. He wants to reset the offensive tackle market. He wants to be the highest paid player at the position, both in average annual value and in guaranteed money. So what does that look like? Well, here are the highest paid tackles in terms of how much they're making per year. Trent Williams, who's also holding out, well, he's actually doing a holdout. Wirfs is holding in. Currently at $23 million. I'm assuming he's pushing for 30 plus. Andrew Thomas, $23.5. Laremy Tunsil at $25. Christian Darrisaw just got paid. He's up to $26 million per year. And Penei Sewell got paid earlier this offseason as a right tackle at $28 million per year. He also got $85 million guaranteed. When you look at the highest paid guaranteed, that's a big jump from Darrisaw and Thomas in that 67 range, then Ramczyk and Laremy Tunsil in the 60 range. I think if I'm Tristan Wirfs, I want $28.5 per year, and I want $90 million guaranteed. Like, I want top dollar. And so, Bears fans, here's the question for you is, would you give up major assets for Wirfs in a trade? Which, by the way, I don't expect Tampa to trade him, but, you know, if things got ugly and a team overwhelmed them with an offer, never say never. And then also pay him top dollar. Like, give up big trade assets, then pay him big money. Like, that's what you have to consider when you're exploring these mega blockbuster trades. It's not just what you're giving up in the trade, it's also being willing to pay that player. So with that being said, would you do it? Would you trade for Tristan Wirfs? Type Y for yes or type N for no. You imagine him on this offensive line. It's a lot of fun to think about. Coming up next, we'll evaluate Tristan Wirfs as a player, plus explore a couple of trade options to potentially land him in Chicago. Again, I think we can all acknowledge it's a long shot. I don't expect Tampa to give him up, but things get ugly sometimes, and you never know how these things are going to break out. But before we do that, shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's show. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that can find and cancel any subscriptions you no longer want to pay for. Most people think they're spending about $65 per month on subscriptions. The reality is it's closer to $250, $300, and that adds up over time. You know, I got a mortgage, I got a child in daycare, I got lots of expenditures that I can't cut back on. So I got to cut back in areas where I can. So if I want to get rid of a couple streaming services, I can do that. If I want to try to just lower my spending in certain areas, because you can set budgets with Rocket Money, I can do that as well. And they'll send you updates throughout the month like, hey, you're on track to overspend your budget, or you're in good shape to not reach your budget for the month. You can negotiate to lower some of your bills with Rocket Money. They're very, very helpful, and I personally think much better than most of the banking apps in terms of monitoring your spending that are out there. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions over the years, which saves you up to $740 per year when using all of the app's features. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your subscriptions you don't want anymore by going to rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. That is rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. It's so so many things you can do. So useful. You can check your credit score all the time. It's available for you. rocketmoney.com/Bears now. All right, you look at Tristan Wirfs, and dominant's the word I would use. He is a dominant football player. Played his first 3 years at right tackle, dominant. Switched to left tackle, still dominant. Switched there last season, and you look at his career PFF grades. The only thing that slightly dipped last year is he did allow 5 sacks. At least that's how many PFF credited him to, compared to 2, 2, and 1 his first 3 years. Still, first year playing left tackle in the NFL, holds up across the board. Essentially, he's only going to get better at that position. He's 25 years old. I mean, he is a dominant player. And look, I like Braxton Jones, and I do agree with the notion that the interior, especially beyond this year, has bigger questions. But the reality is most teams, GMs, executives, etc. will tell you it's easier to plug and play on the interior. Finding high-level tackles going up against these dominant edges, that's the tougher job when building an offensive line. And I like Braxton Jones. He's a good player. He can start. But, like, if you could give me Tristan Wirfs to pair with Darnell Wright, who isn't off to a great start at training camp, it sounds like, but still a player I'm very high on and had a very promising rookie season, like, that gives you a pretty damn good elite offensive tackle pairing. Potentially elite if Wright continues to develop. Wirfs is already there. He's already very good, and he's still improving. I'm going to bank on Darnell Wright getting there, too. So, look, I get the interior has questions, and I'm not ignoring that. We've talked about it a ton on this show. But if there's even a sniff of a chance that Wirfs is available, I would be interested if I was Ryan Poles, because you win in this league by winning up front. And having 2 dominant tackles potentially would help you get there. So a couple of trade ideas. First one here, and I put this on Twitter on Sunday night. Wirfs for Braxton Jones in your first-round pick next year. Full disclosure, that may not be enough, but I would value Braxton Jones at like a 3rd or 4th round pick. You took him in the 5th round. He's been at minimum serviceable, if not above average to good at left tackle. I think that's worthy of, mid-late 3rd, early 4th probably. He has some limitations as a player, but you give them a starting tackle back plus a 1st. So kind of trading a 1st and a 3rd for Wirfs, I mean, that feels about right, but maybe you'd have to throw in a middle, late pick as well. My second idea was this one. Braxton Jones in both of your seconds, including the Carolina pick, which should be, between 33 and 40 in all likelihood, plus your other second. So it's kind of, does Tampa prefer a pick, between 11 and 25, depending on how the Bears play this year, or do they want 2 seconds plus Braxton Jones also? I'd be comfortable doing either. Now, again, reminder, you would then have to pay him top dollar. Like, Ryan Poles would have to be prepared to pay him 28 to 30 million per year and give him 80 plus million guaranteed. That's probably what it would take. But if you feel good about him as a player to be elite and dominant for at least 5 more years, I would argue that's worth it. And by the way, if for some reason Darnell Wright does not continue to improve and pan out, I think he will, but this at least gives you someone who is a dominant player up front, whereas right now you can't say you have a single dominant player up front. Although I like Tevin Jenkins a lot, I like Darnell Wright a lot, this is a guarantee with Tristan Wirfs. So there you have it. Pick a trade idea. Trade idea number 1 here, where it's Jones at a 1st for Tristan Wirfs, or trade idea number 2, Jones in both of your seconds, type 2. If you don't want to do it, if you don't want to do either trade, or if you have a trade of your own, put neither and fire away in the comments why that is the case. But I personally would pull the trigger on either of these. And I'm not even saying Wirfs is available, but if he is, these caliber offensive linemen don't become available. They just don't. Like, someone tweeted me last night, just wait a year. He's a free agent next year. There is no chance in hell Tampa lets him hit free agency. They will either extend him, franchise tag him, or they will trade him. Offensive tackles that are all pro caliber do not hit the open market. They just don't. Don't believe me? Throw a name at me. The best tackle that has hit the open market in the last couple of years is like Caleb McGarry, and he re-signed with Atlanta. Mike McGlinchey, who the Broncos gave like $88 million, and he is an average player. Like, these guys aren't available. So if they're available via trade, I think you have to consider it. All right, that's going to do it. If the Bears trade for a player of this caliber or any player, we're going to subscribe or go live, so you should subscribe. As I said that backwards. Appreciate your love and support. Bear down, as always.